Finally, a live session in English. Today for, not the first time because I did it before, but for first time for I Am Casa project, we're finally doing a live session in English and about most possibly vintage watches. I will be joined by TimeByRaf and another friend of ours, Mr. Simon Werner. We'll not be talking German because I don't know German, but yeah, we'll be discussing what's interesting and what's great and what's appealing and what's maybe also risky in vintage watches and how to approach them, and we'll be answering whatever question you have. It will be in English. As you know, that's father and son with my friend Giorgione is in Italian. So after his face reveal and my interview, you will definitely see we will finally have TimeByRaf. I'm waiting for the guy to join me, and yeah, we're gonna have some fun. Let's hope this first live will be a success. We'll for sure be talking about Cartier and maybe upcoming projects as well. Ooh-hoo-hoo!
Hello.
Hello,
Can you hear
welcome
me?
back. That's a nice hat you have, huh?
It's the best one.
How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm fine. What about you?
Great, great, great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I send an invitation also to Simon. Let's see what happens. Wow, finally seeing your face on social media. What the hell?
Yeah, it was about time to do it again, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I did the video, so... Oh, here's Simon.
Oh,
Ciao.
most charming dude. Most charming dude on social media. Damn, I gotta leave now. Sorry, it's okay like this. Bye. Sorry, guys.
Okay, let's do this together, Simon.
Too cool. How you doing, man? Yeah, we lost Simon. How you doing? Now we see you back. Yes. Yeah, AirPods are a big thing. I know.
Don't
It's
you
fun.
use them?
I'll have it figured out in a minute.
Yes, we can hear you now, huh?
Yeah, hopefully.
No, guys, no German. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't speak
Ja,
it.
komm, lass Deutsch sprechen, Simon. Andrea muss es
Ah.
hinterher.
Ai.
Se no,
So,
possiamo anche parlare l'italiano, no?
giusto.
There we go.
Yes, finally. How you doing, man? Everything good?
I'm very fine. I'm very fine. Freaking busy, but you know, that's it.
Yeah. I can
What
feel
shall we
it.
do?
I can feel it.
What
Only
about you
guy
guys?
was
What
just
about I learned 2 words of Italian for you. Miei fratelli italiani.
Yeah, that's us.
Sì.
Gotcha.
Bravo. Very good. Very good. Very good, guys. So we're representing a lot of people around here. A shout out to someone who started a YouTube project lately. How is it going so far, Simon? Huh? I can read Where Nudes, which is amazing.
Yes, I still have slight understanding problems. I'm gonna be back in a second.
No big deal. We're gonna start a talk with Raf then.
That's me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, have you seen Simon's videos?
Yeah, I really understand everything he says, literally. Yeah, sure thing.
But now he has also the English subtitles, so you should be able to understand it.
Yeah, I should really ask him how it does it, because I think
Yeah, that would be a
ChatGPT
good thing
will
for
help.
you. You gotta bring those German subtitles, or at least speak English, because I got a lot of complaints from my German friends. They are saying like, "Why is Andrea?" Think that, you know.
I'm losing you. Yeah, I lost you like 4 times, man, but still.
It's good.
Yeah, everything lagging. So people are complaining about the subtitles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also
also
because
with
you're like changing like crazy, you know. You're like, it's not like that. I wouldn't be changing, you know, when we speak. Like I'm also switching between English and Italian the whole time, but
Yeah,
you
true.
gotta.
Hi, yeah. So shout out to our friend Marco. If you want to join Marco, we're no, I will send an invitation for Marco to join. Yeah, that's it. It's really weird, but yeah, it's not planned. What is this, The Bachelor? Yeah.
Quite literally.
Yeah. Oh no, Swiss Watch Gang declined. Okay then. Yeah. Okay. Okay. No, wait a sec. Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
like this,
So
it's less competition.
yeah.
He's
It's
not
okay.
about to
It's
join,
okay.
you know.
So talking about finally, do you hear
Yeah,
us?
I
Hi
will
guys,
I
here
will
I am
listen
again.
first.
Okay, guys, great. So someone is asking, Raf, where's the mustache? That's a really good
I
question,
removed it
to be
yesterday
honest.
as of a suggestion from my friends. They were like, "Yeah, what about a little change so that
He
I have
was
a no." That's my disguise for tonight. You know, we're heading to a carnivals party, to a yeah carnivals party, and I like couldn't think of a costume, so like they told me just shave, and that's the
he
best
was just
disguise.
too sexy with the mustache. He was too
Yeah.
sexy, so I couldn't resist him, and there was
And you
no
know,
chance that
and
I'm
you know,
1,000 kilometers away.
rumor has it that yeah, Simon has like I got rid of it, and Simon like added it to his face.
I
Yeah.
took over.
Too many mustache then. I can't grow mine, otherwise we would have done like a trio, the three
But it would
musketeers.
suit you pretty
You're
much,
talking
you
about
know,
a
like
threesome?
Huh? Yeah, that's the kind of life I like. So, guys,
Mm.
we're representing a lot of community here around. Lift some ladies for us. Yeah, thank you. Bring some. Shout out to Laura. Nevertheless, yeah. So, when are you coming to Milan next, guys, or to Geneva?
Geneva in May. That's for sure. Like I'm not
No
sure if I'm
doubt.
coming. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm coming to Watches and Wonders. I don't think so because like, yeah, like I can meet the same people, like quite the same people also in May, and
Okay.
the watches in April won't be as half as good as the watches in May. So that's why I come.
So,
May.
do you think the same, Simon? Like,
Yeah,
are you as
definitely.
well for for vintage watches and non-new watches?
Nah, Watches and Wonders isn't for me. I'm going to be there at the auctions in May, but that's it.
Yeah, okay, then Lorenzo says join for Watches and Wonders, but yeah, definitely. We can do this for something for Watches and Culture, maybe, like the three musketeers. Yeah, we can
That was
literally.
something.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm still waiting for the second edit of the Casa event in Milano because we had a blast last time.
Yeah, it
I
was amazing.
hope. I hope we'll be Rome next time, which is a bit further for you, Raf, but maybe for Simon is pretty like
Like for
maybe
you, Andrea,
no
I will
plane.
drive there. Yeah, plane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
as long as you pay for the tickets, I'm happy to travel.
I asked the sponsor. Yeah, I will. Maybe there's gonna be a I am Casa event in Geneva during Watches and Wonders.
Oh,
I will
nice.
try maybe to postpone it to the auctions because in Watches and Wonders, if you're not
Yeah,
gonna be there anyhow, you're gonna pay
yeah.
like ridiculous price for the hotel. So
That's also the thing. Yeah, I checked and
yeah,
I was shocked because like the hotel we are staying at was like 5 times more expensive during Watches and Wonders. That's obvious. Like people know about that way more than they do about the auctions. So
yeah. Thanks, Marco. Thanks for being the richer one among us. Yeah. Thank you. My biggest dream coming true. So many hot guys at once. Okay. Yeah. It's a matter of taste. It's okay. Thank you. My sugar daddy. Yeah, I really hope to have a sugar baby like you. Okay. Nevertheless, that's good. That's a fun life.
And
That's
are we
for
still
like.
on Instagram or is it OnlyFans already?
Yeah, someone asked for it. We should really throw one. But guys, let's be serious for like half a minute. What do we do? I'm a blogger. Raf is Raf, and you Simon, you're a vintage watch dealer, which is pretty cool nowadays, and still
Correct.
really linked by Raf because I mean, what you see on Raf profiles, you can find it on Simon's web shop. Not the same watch, of course, but literally the vibe is It's pretty
I like,
similar. I think it's
I'm Simon's marketing department, not officially, but kind of.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
somehow he really is.
And Andrea, you are mine, so the circle closes.
Okay, yeah, true. That's true. That's indeed true. So, when are we? Okay, the only fun thing was not a question. True, but we're actually thinking about it. I don't know if you seem to know it, but me and Raf are thinking about starting
I
like
love
kind
you
of.
too, Philo. I love you too.
Okay,
Wrap this
okay,
up.
okay, awesome. So, the topic of today was not OnlyFans, mustache, and hot guys.
But we
Otherwise,
talked about OnlyFans earlier today, so just to mention that.
okay, but was like, if I remember correctly, the topic would have been like, what's appealing and what's important on a vintage watch, because we come from different parts of the world, more or less. Raf is a hybrid between very Italian and very German, and we two are the not very but just, which is pretty cool. Thanks, Marco, for subscribing to the OnlyFans. We'll send you the first pictures and exclusive content. And I'm not asking Raf about briefing us with this story because you have a video and you can see whatever. And if you speak German, I would not even ask to Simon because you have his videos, but we're in the English one. So, Simon, what's your background in watches so we can forward it to what's important in the watch?
Well, I would say that there actually is no real background. So I haven't got like watches or jewelry in the family. I haven't got it in like, any heirloom kind of thing. I started off as a young guy wearing like those pretentious Hugo Boss watches and stuff to
Okay.
just show off. And from there on, my taste kind of got sharper. And I had a good friend who back then really stepped me when I bought a quartz. I think it was like an Armani watch or something, because he said like to have a really nice watch, you need to have a mechanical timepiece, which like
Yeah.
5 or 6 years later, I would even say that's not correct anymore. But back then it still stuck with me. So I went for like a vintage Omega Genève, 34 millimeters. And from there on, like this whole vintage topic grew with me, and I started my company nearly 4 years ago now to just, get into it even more and even more in detail. And yeah, that's where the story started, and I hope it's not at the end yet.
Yeah. I don't really think so. Thank you for this, but I'm really curious because a lot of people ask me about, what should I start with? Why did you? Because you actually did it. Why did you start with the vintage Omega? Because that's fun. That's like me. I
Well,
mean,
I,
it's
I was
where I tell people to start. But
I was looking for bang for buck,
okay,
so I was looking for how do I get a like very fine, let's say high end, at least for back then, movement, and a prestigious name and like a refined case. I mean, like some of the top €1,000 Amigas were designed by by Genta. Um, sorry, I
okay,
couldn't
that's fine.
stay serious anymore.
It's okay, good.
Uh,
Okay, yeah.
bang for buck. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, man. That's so good.
No, it's fine.
I want to mute myself. Fuck that. So nevertheless, Raf, you had a similar story, but you don't sell watches. So I will now start with Raf as I named myself as the moderator of this. So what is important for you, Raf? We said in the interview, but what's important for you in a vintage watch? For
You
Simon,
know,
maybe at the time was bang for buck. Now he will tell us what's for him, and for you.
I feel like in the Kurt, like with you on top and me and Simon, like dressed quite equally.
You know why? Because I'm the shorter. So I'm the
Yeah, that's the
shorter.
thing.
So it's okay. I can do it.
Yeah, so what should I tell you? What was the question? I was not listening to you. I was looking at Simon.
Concentration span of like a fly. Okay, cool. Nevertheless, what's important for you in a vintage watch? And how did you approach your first vintage watch for the guys who didn't see the video? And again,
My first vintage watch, let me think about that. Actually, I bought a vintage watch on eBay. and I bought it, and somehow the deal did not close, and so I did not get it. And afterwards, I was just looking around, and then a friend of my grandmother actually gave me, like, a zipper, like the zip bag with a bunch of watches in there. And in there were like quite some nice watches. For instance, my Zenith Sporto, 18 karat gold dress watch from Tavernier. And yeah, so that was the start. I serviced them, and yeah, I pivoted a little bit away from like real vintage. I'm not wearing watches that are as old as I wore back then, but still, yeah, I like them very much, and I think that they are way more like they 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 contain way more emotions, and they have way more character than modern pieces. I've said it in Germany, like I've said it also in German quite sometimes. For me, modern watches are like they don't have a soul, and they're dead. They feel kind of, yeah. You buy them in the store, they're like that. So like
And
I prefer it.
if I may, just today, like not many hours ago, I had a conversation with a client and friend of mine, and a colleague too. He's a dealer too, and we were comparing like vintage to modern watches, and he's a car guy too. He's like a big vintage car guy and old-timer guy, and I made some, or he made a very fitting, approach to it. Like, with modern watches, for example, let's take a modern Rolex Submariner or whatever. It's like driving a 992 Porsche 911. It's a perfect car, and you're gonna have so much fun with it, but doesn't lack kind of emotion and kind of background story. And so I feel like it does, and I would always prefer like a 964 over like a 992. That's like the whole emotional thing behind it, and I prefer something less over-constructed, which is pretty untypical for a German guy, I would say, because we're nation of engineers and stuff. But for me, I prefer the soul of something with a human touch to it, and isn't it human to make mistakes and don't build like the perfect high end thing.
And this is also
So
the
this
thing,
time
like
I am the
like
opposite
it's
one.
yeah, it's way too
Not so fast, guys.
perfect. Like it's like if something is too perfect and everything works just fine all the time. I know it's convenient, obviously, but doesn't that somehow affect also the appeal, like
Yeah.
the satisfaction that it gives you? Like I'm driving a Vespa from 1966, and it would actually bore me if there wouldn't be some problems over the season. Like the the braking rods from like for the gears and the clutch. And yeah, that's the thing. If everything would work just perfect, it would be a bit boring. Like, somehow I walk up to her and I try to kickstart it, and it will just not start. And I mean, if everything works just fine all the time, I know it's practical, but somehow it gives some charm to it. That does
I
not
get it,
mean that
but
the
what
watch should
about
not
like?
work properly. But
Okay, I get it. But if you're talking to me about motors and in general, I would say that I'm like the guy who buys a new watch, which is a reissue of something, because I'm putting my CarPlay on my car because it didn't have it, and I'm like, yeah, but why can't I listen to music to
yeah,
make phone calls and stuff?
no,
But
but don't you share like this emotion? I mean, your 911 breaks down all the time too. So,
yeah, for this, yes.
just kidding.
No, it's true. That's true indeed. No,
Well,
but yeah.
what I'd like to add is you got to always keep in mind that people buying classical vintage watches, not talking about like neo vintage or stuff where the situation changed a little. For people buying like a classical vintage watch, those to stay in the car, concept, they already have their Volkswagen Golf, and they already have their like BMW 3 Series where they can, take their phone calls and have Apple CarPlay. They want something to drive on the weekends, to show to their friends and have something to talk about. And thereby you can't really show off with the 3 Series or something anymore, because money isn't the ultimate goal. Like having style and knowing about what you do and have and drive or wear on the wrist, that's something impressive nowadays. And that you can nearly only achieve by a vintage watch. I mean, there are some actually I talked about exactly the same few hours ago with the same friend. Um, for sure, you got the independent watchmakers, and you got some modern brands trying to elevate what they did before, but still it lacks the emotion and the refinement of a vintage watch, in my opinion.
It's very true. Indeed, I am curious now that also Raf is back to ask you. With that said, I really do understand that, and I think that this whole thing is the difference between just using or enjoying something or collecting it. Because, for example, if you take me and cars, I only have 911, so I would need something else to literally use and exploit somehow. Whether in watches, I do have many, so I can do more. What the heck, ref? Okay,
I'm just trying
okay.
something.
But you said something very interesting. What is your opinion, guys, about neo vintage?
Yeah, that's like my sweet spot. That's where I like find the most attraction in watches in this period, you know, and I can't really tell you why, but somehow like the watches had different sizes back then, different proportions. They already had quite a good quality. They are usable in like every situation, and well, it's not that's not the most important point for me, but somehow I just found some very interesting designs there. And if we're talking about the St. Moritz, for instance, you find the OGs in this area. You know, like nowadays you have the Alpine Eagle, which is a like let's say a very good watch, but it has lost quite some character. You know, like you can also say the Wolf, but for me it has lost some character. You know, the bezel was way let's say more funky back then, and they just cleaned it just like they did with all the logos. You know, just compared to the logo, I'm just waiting for this logo to be cleaned, like straight hands and no serifs, you know, in the future. And yeah, that's what's happened to the watches, and therefore like I prefer the OGs, you know. And yeah, I'm always like asking myself, why do I dislike so many of the modern watches? And well, what should I say? The industry, in my eyes, yeah, has quite a lack of creativity lately. You know, not that I would be like the creative guy in this moment, but yeah, check the watches that are like being released right now. You have reissues over reissues over reissues, and well, the 90s were quite innovative when it comes to design, and therefore, like it was also a quite interesting time where, let's say, watches weren't built in that quantities like today. Like obviously, if we're talking about Santos, they put out hundreds of thousands of Santoses, but when we're talking about the St. Moritz, for instance, like you know, with the 8300, they made around 500 pieces, and yeah, you have some sort of natural limitation with these watches, and that's why I prefer them, you know. And you gotta hunt them. Like it's not that you can just like walk into a store and buy it. Let alone waiting lists and stuff like that. But you really gotta be lucky, you know. And therefore, yeah, I'm a fan of neo vintage, and I'm actually also wearing neo vintage like all the time.
Yeah, all wearing neo vintage. Someone knows it.
Lovely.
Yeah. This is
Where
appearing
did you
in.
get that? How did it come to
Maybe
Italy?
from you.
No, no way. Did he buy it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, no, don't be
yeah.
ridiculous, man. The watch that
Yeah,
no way.
yeah. It's going to more in a video. Yeah. Finally, we're
Really?
shooting a video about the
And you
MBM.
guys, like
Andrea,
don't say
Andrea,
anything. Don't say
if
anything.
I might add something, because I
Sure.
already want to, you know,
Please.
hype up some people. I've got something to show, but I'm gonna be very careful.
Stop teasing me, guys.
What the hell is this? I don't know it.
I don't know what it could be. I mean I got it on my wrist, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'm gonna talk about it in some later posts or something. But it's something interesting, let's say.
But I'm quite like confused that you
Very
guys
cool.
like managed to hide this whole trait from me like for the whole time. Like
Yeah, it was for today.
usually
It was
Simon
for
calls
tonight.
me. Oh really?
Yeah.
You know, usually Simon calls me at 4 a.m. like, hey, I just saw the watch to this and this and this guy, and I'm like, wow. But you
It's
know,
not the
maybe
story, but we'll tell you the story. Technically,
Yeah, we will.
it's cool.
be lucky that I wasn't involved in this deal, because otherwise,
No. The watch is for it's basically for a video, and but I have to say it's very, very, very cool watch.
you didn't buy it, right?
Not yet.
But let me get in there
Okay.
because we were talking about neo vintage, and I think that the MDM models are quite, they show exactly what we are talking about in neo vintage. The big advantage is that with like real vintage watches, which, as you know, I really love too, let's say 40s, 50s, 60s pieces, those are really amazing too, and they got even deeper like qualities in form of like movement, construction, and stuff. But they are kind of unobtainable for many, not because of their prices. Most of them are quite cheap, or let's say affordable. But the problem is those are really a hustle. I mean, you really have problems with getting them serviced. You have problems with parts for them. It will be very hard to fit them to someone who is used to modern watches, like wearing 42, 40 millimeter watches. With neo vintage, let's take a Hublot MDM or like a 90 Santos, or let's go for the Chopin Samoritz, as Raf mentioned. Those are, as said, neo vintage. So they were like the border between those hard to get, hard to understand vintage watches and cheers and modern design ideas, but still with the build quality and the refinement of vintage watches. So they are really like a sweet spot of, let's say, 10 to 20 years after the quartz crisis until the beginning of this millennium, where the quality still was way up, especially for those brands which survived the quartz crisis. Yet they still had like some creative designs, creative ideas,
Cool.
and they didn't do it so much for the money. Nowadays it feels like every brand knows how to print money with watches. Back then, I mean, Chopard made 500 watches of the Samoritz in steel. Like nowadays, not a single brand, not even a micro brand, would start producing a watch for 500 pieces. Back
No.
then, it was their like biggest goal. Crazy.
Yeah, but do you think that like some micro brands of today or independent brands of today will be big brands of tomorrow, like Hublot today, which could be good, could be bad, but still is big? Because a lot of people criticize the lack of story, of historicity in some brands.
Well, in my opinion, there always has to be like the good old things. Like you have to have a Patek Calatrava to give like the right of existence to like independent watchmakers or to like micro brands. So we need both for innovation yet traditional values in the watch industry. I must say, I believe that like 50 or 60 or maybe 70% of all the micro brands will be bankrupt in at least 10 to 15 years when like this whole hype thing died off. But, and that's the important thing, if 20 or 30% survives, those are going to be the brands of tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, because those are the brands with creative designs, with creative ideas, and with like real, just good people behind it.
Yeah, that's the thing to me as well now. And do you guys like? I'm very curious because I'm Italian and Raf is Italian as well, but as I said, in the middle. But I'm like the very Italian uh, vintage involved guy who saw vintage even before seeing a modern watch. Can you please introduce me to what's different between young Italian collectors and young German collectors? Because I do think that we all now, as youngster, focus on neo vintage. To be honest, I think it's like an our generation trend. But I'm very curious of
it's
the
true.
differences.
Yeah, I think that there are definitely some like, let's say, differences when you compare Germany to Italy, like in a perspective of collecting, especially for young people. Um, First and foremost, I gotta say that I have the feeling that like people are opening up their minds, and I can say that for Germany because I'm way more involved in Germany than in Italy. When I started connecting in this whole German vintage watch world, especially with young guys in my age, I noticed that they are like very focused to like certain numbers and certain things that, in my opinion, do not count as much. They were like, a watch gotta be at least 5 kilometers was like water resistance, you know, and they also like care very much about yeah, the whole spec sheet, you know, about reserve de marche and like the size, the precision of the watch, and call me dull, but for me that's not important, you know. I know that 95% of my collection are not waterproof. I know that 96% of my collection are not running like in good precision. I couldn't care less. And yeah, and then also like 97% of my collection do not feature like manufacturer movements. And therefore, like I saw that in Italy, there's quite a different way of seeing this whole thing. You know, at least that's what I have the feeling. Maybe you just introduced me to the right people. That in Italy, like people do not care as much about these certainties as they do in like Germany. But people in Germany are evolving, and you know, in Germany they have a very like strong, like they have a very strong buying behavior. I can tell this because I'm like seeing it in our Telegram group, the Urtalk community. Like we are counting on new watch alerts like every day. Guys, they are all fairly young. They're like around, let's say, 20 to 40, 50
Okay.
at max, but they're not as much like there's a way more younger people, and they're really like buying watches, and the whole diversity is very cool, you know. Like I've been into other groups, and they were like, yeah, let's say these were more groups with people that aren't as long in the topic as we are, and they were like, yeah, I gotta buy my first watch. Should I buy a Submariner, or should I buy an Aquatel or something like that? And thereafter, people like started to evolve very quick. And right now, I'm seeing watches that I haven't seen before in the group, because they're also like hunting down the vintage brands from Germany. You know, there are some certain brands like Sikura, which is also like was part of Breitling, and Dugena, Sartina, and yeah, like that's my perspective. That I see that people are like evolving, and I also see, and that's very favorable to me, that the borders like they aren't as like strict as they are like in reality, you know.
Okay.
Like a lot of people from Germany are connecting with people from Italy. English is a perfect tool to communicate, because like let's say almost everybody is capable of communicating in English, and therefore yeah, that's nice. And that just an event as we are holding like tonight, I think it's very, very cool, because like at the end it's a small bubble. It seems way bigger from the inside than it actually is from the outside. And yeah, therefore I'm happy that like we are connecting not only within our borders, but also yeah, on the excess of our borders. Yeah.
I think it's like just a global trend back there or behind all that, because when let's say 20 years ago people wanted to buy or read about watches, or yeah, just get into watches in Germany, they had to stay in contact or get in contact with German watch collectors, and especially the old German watch collectors, not talking about those with really advanced collections, of which
Okay.
I know quite some who are into like really high-end pieces, but talking about like those, old watch collectors who started like off when they were 14 and bought like their first chronograph back then, and so on and so forth. I feel like those had very traditional and let's say conservative things in mind when like promoting watches to the younger generations. So up until let's say like the early, yeah, let's say the few years after the change of the millennium, young people in Germany had to get also into those traditional values, because they had no way to exchange their opinions. But now it really changed, because, a young guy as I am from Frankfurt can easily talk to two Italian guys and has a real like, yeah, transaction of knowledge and of style ideas and stuff, which is really important and which really leverages German collectors and the idea of a German watch collector to someone who is at least on the same level as everybody else in the industry. I must say that I also feel like still the Italians have quite some advantage in a view of style, let's say, because it's just, you know, you can't beat like the Italian way of collecting vintage watches. I'm just going to be honest. There's a reason why all the Italian, like all the great collectors, or nearly all the great collectors, are Italian. But I mean, you started it off, and you gave away the crown to other nations and to other like new
Very true.
groups of people who can attain it. And I think there's a challenge for people like Raphael or me to show that there's more than just like those big Italian collector guys, and we can achieve it too.
Yeah, and we also need it because, you know, a bit of exchange. It's really worth it. And of course, the guy. I mean, in every industry, I think that the ones who start are not the ones that make the thing evolve, because that's not just being you know one element that makes growth. So I'm really curious. But where I met a virtually, of course, met a guy who's not a German, who's Austrian. I think Austrian, but nevertheless, he lives in Vienna, and I've seen one of the most beautiful neo vintage collections ever. And I was like, why is this in Vienna? Like, I'm used to it not to being there. You know? Like, what?
Do I know this
But
guy?
it's fun. It's really much fun. You were saying,
Do I know
Ralph?
this guy?
Do you know this? I don't know, man.
Okay, we gotta talk about that like off the record.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. By the way, I will fly to Vienna if any of you is there.
I'm going to be there
So
on Saturday, so you got to let me know
when?
who it is.
When?
On
When?
Saturday, 25th.
No, I'm in Marrakesh on Saturday. Just
Nah,
leaving.
come on,
Yeah,
mate.
sun. I
Enjoy
need
the sun.
sun.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
Live
need
in
sun.
Says
We have a
Wings.
question that is, huh?
No, just my friend from Zurich, Levent, just asked me where my mustache goes. So I think that's the main topic
Ah, I
for
live in.
tonight here. And yeah, what should I say? I
We
got
have
rid of it.
we have a good one who was directed to Raf, but it's for me it's to all of us. Post 2000 Rolex. What's your choice?
It's difficult. Like I would probably opt for a Daytona.
Which one?
White dial, yeah, white dial 11.6.
6520. 116520. It's
11
it's
is okay.
it's quite fun. I was about to say exactly, not kidding, exactly the same thing, but black dial, non-ceramic, early.
Yeah, but then again, I would probably think about some other more special pieces. But that was the first watch that came to my mind. But I gotta be honest, it would probably bore me. You know, like it would cause like let's say quite some attention and like attention for just not that exciting watch into my eyes. Like it's a great watch. Don't misunderstand me. But you know, for me, like. Would be a white eye Rolex, and you can see it on every other wrist, and therefore it's a difficult question. You know, like obviously there are some nice watches, but like can we talk about pre-2000?
No, that was the whole thing. Yeah, that was the
I
whole thing.
I think I might opt for the, what's the reference? I haven't got it in mind right now, for the modern Pepsi on steel and oyster bracelet.
Okay.
I must say that's exactly the 992 Porsche thing, because even though everybody knows it and everybody knows of its quality and it kind of lacks soul, still it's one hell of a watch, let's be honest. And it's got this like reminiscence of the good old times because it's still got the Pepsi bezel and stuff. So I wouldn't buy it, but if I had to get a modern Rolex, I'd probably opt for the brand new oyster bracelet Pepsi GMT. I think it's more like it's as I said, it's like the 992 of watches, and that's totally fine.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can talk, guys, because I do have two. So I really do, to be honest. So yeah. I have a Datejust a 116234, and I have the OS Super Battery in green because I think the
Mm.
line they
That's
did
also
for the
fairly nice, I
colors.
gotta say. Oh, and
Yeah.
when we talk about that, I totally forgot about that one modern Rolex that I would probably buy. That would be like the modern 36 millimeter Explorer. But I
Mm-hmm.
would like beat the shit out of this watch. Like I would wear it for like to work, I would wear it to party, I would wear it to hike, and just
No, not
like
to party, please.
why not? Like I would like just make a Whistling Diesel style durability test with this watch because I know she has quite some capabilities and yeah, but that's
Yeah,
not
we're
going to
to
happen.
explore, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
that's
really
exactly it.
worried about the exploration though, because I've seen watches after the party, and I would really say that I would not be a
Mm.
watch in my reincarnation project. No, not a Raf's one.
Okay, yeah,
No,
but
no.
at the end, like some of my watches were at parties with me, and they all like kept up pretty good. For instance, this St. Moritz 35 millimeter still looks quite beautiful.
Okay.
And yeah, I wore it for New Year's Eve, and yeah, I remember like doing quite some stress tests to it, and
Yeah,
yeah,
remembering is already something. Usually with nights like this, yes. Okay, and we're talking about all this. So, do you think now our generation it's all on the same page? Because yeah, neo vintage is a thing, Santos are a thing. I would say still is a thing. Vintage watches like Datejust and vintage Omegas are a thing for all of us. Is there anything really different between Germany and Italy, in your opinion?
um, let me think about it.
Also, Simon, because I think
I
you have customers in both
I
parts as well.
I have the feeling that people in Italy are not as concerned about selling the watch before they even got it as people in Germany. Because with people in Germany, like I got plenty of questions all the time. Like people are about to buy a watch, but they care way more about selling it before buying it than they care after like receiving it. So in Italy, I also got a lot of like requests from Italy where people are asking me about my opinion for certain watches, and usually in Italy they like I can't remember a single case where somebody asks me how is like the value of the watch, how is it to sell, will it like appreciate. And in Germany, that's like, yeah,
Mm.
for most people, it's like a very important question. Like they are very concerned. And I think that this question is like, it gets like less important after you receive the watch. At least for me, like if you receive the watch, like obviously you gotta get a check if you can like sell the watch afterwards, which is not easy if you're like not having like a channel to sell it through. But when you receive the watch and like it happens for me all the time, like I do not care about selling it anymore because I can't, you know. Like for instance, got this one today, New York stock Cartier Cougar with a black gray dial, and yeah, like can totally not imagine selling this one in the near future because it's just a looker, and yeah, that's also a bad thing, you know. It makes you like really broke.
I feel like the regular German customer thinks more before buying, and that does not even necessarily mean something good or bad, because it's for a German customer, he is really going into consideration. He does like in his mind a pro and con list, and he's like, how is the like how does the watch fit into my collection? How will I wear it? With which outfits am I gonna pair it? And the Italian client is more of a spontaneous buyer. For me as a dealer, I really hate it because more watches from Italy come back to me because they think like, oh, what a nice watch, and then they return it. But let's not talk about them. So it's more like a instant buy thing in Italy, which as I said can be good or bad.
I can
Um,
confirm.
Yeah, but I wouldn't necessarily say that there are a big difference anymore, to be completely honest. Because as I said before, you know, there's everything has globalized and generalized. Like, isn't there really a big difference between a 22-year-old guy from Germany and Italy? Probably not. Like, he's raised a little bit differently. His style might be a little more or less, you know, acquired. But overall,
Like
you
I
have the
gotta say,
same. Mhm.
like I gotta say that what I've witnessed with people in Germany and in Italy, I have the feeling that people in Germany are way more careful when it comes to buy a watch, and they tend to risk way less. Like I had some people reaching out to me because they found a certain offer with bad pictures, or like somehow sketchy seller, or like, let's say, uncertain description of the watch, and they were like, I could probably buy it, and I for myself would have bought it like immediately, but they were like, not that sure, like what if like that is going to happen and that is going to happen. And also like with shipping a watch, like they were very careful when it comes to shipping a watch, as you should probably. But I also witnessed that, like here in Italy, people, and with people I mean myself, and people that think like me are yeah, risking more, like they are like high risk high reward kind of thinking in this moment. And yeah, you know, like I would say that the young Italian collector is less scared of like of a loss, you know.
Okay,
And
and what
I think
about
that
budget? Because for
budget wise, like I have the feeling, like I feel more connected budget wise to the German collectors, because I can see a lot of similarities, you know, like there are people that are just working for the money, just like I am, and like in Italy, it's not disclosed as much where the money comes from. You know, in Germany, if someone reaches out to me, you can check their Instagram account, you talk about it, and they like initially come to you and they're like, "Hey, I worked 2 summers long, and now I have saved up. Can you lead me to Santos?" In Italy, it's like, young guy, hey, I'm about to buy a 62. What do you think about this one? You know, like that's obviously a bit exaggerated, but yeah, I think that these are like somehow like nuances, and they rely on certain like experiences that I made. But I, for myself, feel like more, not I wouldn't say connected, but I have the feeling that I tend to be more like a German guy when it comes to the whole budget thing, you know.
But let's be honest, the reason why we all love Ruff that much is because he's exactly between the two worlds, right? I don't know, like the joie de vivre of an Italian collector, and his like openness for
The
new
joie
stuff and
de
new
vivre
design.
of an Italian collector. Yeah,
Yeah, I
say
don't
that
know
again.
Italian, man. I had to go for the French word.
La
And
gioia di
at
vivere.
the same time, he's buying with the like, let's say with the thoughtfulness of a German collector. So that's
And
why
I'm
we
in the
all love him so much,
thoughtfulness
right?
of a pig, probably. You know, like I'm just jumping into watches. But I haven't regretted so far. It's working out, and yeah, obviously I'm doing my homework like when nobody's watching, and I usually, like, I haven't made bad deals so far, I think. Obviously, some watches that have left my collection afterwards, but yeah, that's also a bad thing, you know. Like I wish the watches, I wish I wouldn't be that possessive when it comes to watches. You know, imagine like giving away the watches. Then I would probably be a dealer, and there would be more competition in this live stream, because I would be advertising like all the watches I have right now. But I'm a collector. I'm a collector.
But that's a bit of what's lacking, in my opinion, because with what you said and the thing that people are reselling, and also what I am experiencing now, that every people I talk to want to work in the industry as a dealer, as a I don't know what. Are there any people that are not willing to work in watches in the life? Like literally, shake your hand. So, because I mean, I love it and it's great, but I'm really afraid that all our generation is willing to work in the watch industry, which is great. But then it's like the porn industry, if everyone is doing OnlyFans, who's paying for the OnlyFans subscription?
That's the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say that, like, I, for myself, made the decision that I won't deal watches, at least for now, because I'm very bad at partying with watches. I'm good at partying with watches, but that's another story. Yeah, so I would just, like, I would probably be, new watch in there, and I would go broke within 2 months. And at the other end, like, I have some difficulties to see watches as like just goods that are going to be sold. I have an emotional binding to watches. It's not on a ill amount, like not on a ill side, but I really have an emotional binding to watches, and therefore I love to work in the watch industry. I actually do right now, some sort of way. But yeah, in the future, I would totally love to do something. I'm not quite sure what, but yeah, things will work out either way. So yeah, for now, I'm like just filling up my brain every day from morning to evening with watch information and watch content, and yeah, let's see where this leads to.
So, Andrea, could you get a little more precise within your question? Because actually, I didn't totally understand what you tried to get in information.
No, no, no. I was just wondering, just because it's really like, do you get the same feeling that all young guys like us are like, yeah, approach watchmaking, sure, maybe collect some, sure, but are really all orientated towards getting a place inside the panorama of the industry. Like, I don't know, it's evolving really quick, in my opinion. But you guys
I think
maybe
that
have more
I think
context.
that's just our bubble because we're connected by all the young people within the watch industry, and we feel like everybody's trying to get into it. But that's because of us, surrounding ourselves with those people, like acknowledging that they are trying
I
to
would.
get into it. Yet, let's be honest, if you walk over the street, like maybe one out of 1,000 young guys is trying to do anything, or at least in the direction of watches, if not even less. So I feel like on the other side, we more or less even have a problem with young people trying to get into the corporate stage of this business. So many young people try to do their own thing and buy and sell watches by themselves. And I mean, I'm an example of that. Yet the brands need people. It's not the next young watch dealer we need, who probably doesn't change anything, let's be honest, and who probably isn't willing to spend his whole life and his whole time in this industry. But it's the companies, it's the watchmaking schools, it's those organizations who really need people and really need, young guys and girls for sure, who are interested in the industry, who want to do sales, who want to build watches and everything, do marketing. I know of very, very few people who are from the watch industry doing marketing for watch companies. Most watch companies hire people from non-watch related marketing agencies to do their marketing, which is, let's say, bullshit, because those don't understand the
Thank you.
soul. Let me just do a short compare there. I worked with many professional photographers before I found the guy I'm working with now. And even though they charged like crazy high prices or had like really nice reputation, none of them was able to shoot good watch photos. And then I got to know my watch photographer as of now, who does not do it as a profession, who does it as a hobby, but who also loves watches and who understands why
That's the key.
people want to buy watches and what they want to see. And from there on, my photos like accelerated in quality. And that's the same with marketing, with sales, with the
Yeah.
fascination of a watchmaker, which is where we need young people.
And I think that this
It's
is
yeah.
like, I think that this is at the long term our mission, like to
Yeah.
bring the fascination of watches to people. And I
True.
think that like this is also like the main goal for myself, you know. Like obviously I want to like collect for myself, but like it gives me very much satisfaction if I see that people who did not care about watches in the first place are slowly like getting into this rabbit hole. And yeah, I think that's important, but I would also not force it, you know. It just happens. And if it's not about to happen, like you can't force people like get into this
True.
like topic. Like you can, but then they will probably do it. They won't do it wholeheartedly. Like
Exactly.
you
It's
know,
true,
if you
super
like
true. But I also
if you would
think,
like hire some, your thoughts, yeah,
that the three of us are also not really mainstreams, and maybe
definitely
what
not.
is, yeah, and the power of bringing people inside an industry, in my opinion, is on the people that are mainstream, because they actually get more people. But two things I wanted to clarify or just tell. First, thanks to Simon for saying that passion is important, because that's the only thing I'm building my project on. Because my initial idea was really to help big companies having someone who knows how to do stuff as all the other guys around, but is passionate and can put effort in the direction. Second of all, I'm more lucky, but to be honest, around myself, it's more me telling people not to go in big companies. I'm like a bit of a hater. I'm not telling anyone to be a watch dealer, because I think you cannot start if you think of starting. You can only start like saying, okay, tomorrow morning I'm gonna be a watch dealer, if you have 4 million cash, and then you're like, okay, I can do it. I have the power to do it. Otherwise, to me, it's more like, okay, there's an opportunity. Maybe I take it and I build my thing. Otherwise, you're done. Look at me and Raf. I think we could both start being dealers, but just because we did things before. So I think no one could just go and say, okay, now I'm a dealer. But to be
Yeah,
honest,
you like you involve like a dealer, you know. I think that
exactly.
as you've mentioned, like you know, coming to this decision to deal watches and like finding watches as your product, like in a brainstorm process, that's not just a good, like if you're coming to a point where you say, okay, like I'm handling so much watches, and like I'm getting into trouble with the like let's say tax department and stuff like that, you probably should be a dealer. But then again, also for myself, I thought about this, and I thought that I would like not like you know, every now and then I sell a watch privately,
It's okay.
but like I wouldn't be a dealer in this case, you know. And being a dealer for selling a watch every other year would
No,
just
no,
not make
no.
sense.
Selling watches is literally like, okay, I quit my job
Yeah,
and then now I sell
yeah,
watches.
yeah,
In my
sure, sure,
opinion,
sure,
like
sure.
it's your either full time or part time, whatever, but it's
Sure.
your job, literally.
And I'm just not as you know, I couldn't be a dealer as I would not have the capability of seeing watches as like you know, playing goods for like making money. You know, I've been to the fair in Munich, and this
Yeah.
was where I got enlightened. You know, I saw people like with racks of money, and they were like, "Hey, buy this watch, 19,000 here, 18,000 if you take it right now, and 17,000 for you." And like it was like really, really like at the bazaar, like it is the bazaar in this moment. And therefore, you know, for me, it's like I sold some watches privately, and I met up with the buyers here in my hometown, and we went for coffee. We had some talks. He told me about his passion, about my passion, and that was nice. You know, I knew that the watch is going to a good hand, and I do it so rarely, so that every sale is a special event, not like Simon, who is selling like watches every other hour, let's say. Not sure. And yeah, that's for me. So I won't be a dealer, but I can like guide you to certain watches.
But I'm really curious on this, Simon, because to me, if I have to sell something, I would really have to look at it as a stone. Because literally, if I get attached to it, no way, sell it. How bad is it for you, or how do you sneak through it?
It's the
Because you are
worst part of my
passionate.
job. No, it's actually the worst part of my job.
Okay.
I hate doing sales, and that's very bad for being a salesman. Yeah, I know. It's like the worst. No, actually, it's the worst part. I mean, you always have like, you, I treat my inventory just like a collection.
I know.
So for me, my inventory isn't like I buy everything which I can make money off, but I try to curate something I would personally like to own. And from there on, I try to furthermore curate the collections of people by putting my watches into those collections.
Very interesting.
And therefore, the big problem is that if you want to achieve a great collection for your inventory and then, you know, put up an even better inventory in the collection of someone else, you're going to have to sell like the best of all the watches you have. Like, sure, some of the watches I sell are like those unwanted children, where you say like, that one might go now and that one might go later. But most of the things I source, and it even starts with the least rare watches, like let's say quartz Master Cartier Tank or something. They are so unique as of being vintage watches that for me, it really is hard to let go of them, even though I had similar watches like 10 times or something. And that doesn't only relate to the watch itself, but also, let's say, to the time of the year, for example. I just sold a Breguet numeral Master Cartier Tank, and I'm really happy again because I was able to fulfill a long made wish of a friend and client of mine. Yet I hated to sell it because in Germany, the sun starts to come out, and this watch would wear so fucking great now, and I can't do it. So as I said, it's the worst part of my job, and in very rare occasions, I keep some of the watches I offer because I say they're just way too good to sell them now, and I
No,
can't.
Simon, that's just not true. You're selling some of the watches you keep every now and then, because looking at your private collection, it's clear that you also have a problem of letting go of watches.
Yeah. Well, let's not talk about my private or any private collection yet, because if I would start with that, the conversation would go on for many hours.
Yeah, and it's already 1 hour we're on, so it's already a good one. We didn't get many questions. I really hoped for more. Only fans, and Marco, of course, asked how long is long enough. Thank you for asking this great thing.
Guys,
I
I would
would
say
say,
that we should continue this whole stream
yep.
in person in Geneva in May.
Oh,
Yeah,
guys,
sure.
that would be a really good episode.
Agreed.
When am I going on Ortalk with my personal translator Laura?
Anytime. Also, wenn Laura Zeit hat, dann können wir das jederzeit machen.
Guys,
Yes,
no,
yeah.
I can get it.
Like if she said to, like we will do this, like like in the TV shows. Like I'm like, so
Yeah.
Laura, what does Andrea think?
With
Andrea,
the language
yeah, like
side
this,
as well.
Exactly.
Maybe. Yeah, guys, I think we should go on maybe in Geneva, maybe in another live, because
in another live, yeah. Let's get
yeah.
in another live, maybe.
Next live, I'm preparing questioner like hot ones, like do you prefer blondes or brunettes?
Ah,
Do
you
prefer
mean the
gold
next
or
live
steel?
stream? I was referring to the next live in general.
What a question. Raf has brown hair.
True, yeah. So
Oh man, he didn't hear. He didn't hear me. Damn.
yeah. I would say we're good like this for the moment. Maybe we can throw another live. Not another live,
Sure.
unfortunately.
Was such a blast.
It's a pleasure for me, guys. Well, I will upload it on YouTube for all of you. Of course, in English, not in German. But one question. How do you do your subtitles?
You talking
That's
like
getting technical.
I pay someone to do it. I have no idea how it works.
Okay, no. I was thinking as an Italian, like how can I do it for free?
Now I think it's not even that hard. It's like it is tough work and it takes time, but I think it's not like the worst. So.
No, it's not hard. It takes just too much time for my life.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I will tell you something. When I'm in this multilingual stream, we really did some work on that, and from now on, like subtitles should be quite accurate, right? So yeah.
I would really, but I'm just waiting for ChatGPT to put something like this.
To be that good, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, do you really need subtitles in order to see Simon smoking his cigar? I don't think so.
And showing watches. I don't only smoke cigar on my channel. I also show watches.
Yeah, every now and then.
Sometimes,
Every
rarely.
now and then he shows some watches.
Yeah, I thought about smoking as well. We'll see if it's a good topic, because people tend to like it, to be honest.
Next time, I'm all in, you know.
Yeah. We do it. We can do it. Guys, thank you so much for joining. Thanks to everyone for following us. Last 23 people. Have a good one. And yeah, I'm going to eat, guys. So yes.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah, good
Same.
one.
See you. Thanks for the attention, and
See you
Andrea
guys.
is my soft watch for that.
Ooh. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Until the next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye to all of you. Thank you. Have a good night.